Evening. I'd like to call the Madison Local School Board to session, and we need to stand and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
Here.
Mrs. Cotterman.
Here.
Mr. Mosier.
Here.
Miss Amy Walker.
Here.
Mr. Wigton.
Here. I need a motion to adopt our agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mr. Mosier.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4. Next, we need a motion to approve our previous board meeting minutes from December 14th and January 4th.
I'll move. Mary will second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mr. Mosier.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4. Presentation of certificates.
So January is School Board Recognition Month, and I'd like to do so at this time. I would like to, on behalf of the students, the staff, and the Madison community, thank each of you as board members for your leadership, effort, and support of the schools and our students, and just really appreciate all of your efforts. So at this time, I will present you each with a certificate.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is recognition of visitors who would like to comment on any of the items that are on the agenda tonight. If you do come up to speak, please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Parton, and this is Chris Powell, and we're representing the Madison Levy Committee. So I just want to give you a quick update. We've had an initial steering committee meeting and then an organizational meeting where we had about 30-some Madison residents and parents and faculty that came to talk about how we're going to organize and prepare for our 8 mil levy that we're going to be looking to try to achieve in the month of May. So we also met with some consultants who, after we compared their notes and ours, looks like we're on the right timeline for trying to get organized. So we've got our next couple of meetings coming on Saturday and Monday where we're going to be meeting in committees and working at trying to put together all the subcommittees and the right volunteers in the right place. And then Chris can give you a quick update on some fundraising efforts that we've already started.
So one of our fundraisers that we're going to be doing is a Monte Carlo night. The Monte Carlo night will be February 11th at 7 p.m. It does coincide with a basketball game, but we're going to try to make the best of it. So just like every other Monte Carlo night, we're going to do the reverse raffle, have some other games there. So if you would like to, I know a lot of the administrators have them, myself, Jeff, and some other people. If you'd like some tickets, reach out. We still have a few to sell, so we'd be glad to help you out with that.
I think that's it. Anything else? Or any questions? Cool. Okay, if you'd love to volunteer, we'd love to meet you. Thanks so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi guys, wow, man, I do it every time. It's I'm loud anyways. Matt Stancombe, 658 Day Road. I don't know that's on the meeting notes, but I will circle back to something that's on the meeting notes. But I do want to talk a little bit about the news that broke this week with Valentine leaving. I understand that that poses a new head coach position that's available at the high school. And there's a few things that I've seen in the comments that were made at the press that just kind of make my heart beat a little bit fast. I don't like it. One, from our athletic director, we are looking for someone with a good track record who has done well and wants to build this program. Everything happens for a reason, and there is someone out there who is willing to come to Madison, wants to stay at Madison, and wants to make this thing work. The other thing that was posted to the media was it will be posted internally, but it will also be posted that we want someone with head coach experience. That eliminates some of the people you usually have internally. Now I want to go to our values and beliefs that are posted up there on the board. Mainly, I want to focus on the last 4. We value hard work and strong work ethic. We value relationships and connections. We value being supportive of others. And we value loyalty. Why are we trying to push away internal resumes by putting a stipulation on there that you have to have head coach experience? I'm going to go to a head coach that I know. He graduated from my high school. You guys might be familiar of the name, at least some of you. Don Shula. Anybody familiar with him? He's one of the only coaches in the NFL to lead an undefeated season, is the most winning coach in NFL history. Don Shula was never a head coach before he took the head coach position of the Baltimore Colts. He was an assistant coach at 2 colleges. He was he was a linebacker coach for the Buffalo Bills, and then he was offered the head coach at the Baltimore Ravens. Do you know his record in 5 years at the Baltimore Ravens? His first head coaching job was 73-21. So in my notes here, I looked back to get a summary of what our experienced head coaches were that we recruited here. Our experienced head coaches that we hired in here have a combined record of 19-78.
Mr. Stamkos, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to tell you you have about 40 seconds left, but continue on.
19-78 with experience. Why would we not look internally? We have a levy coming up. The school needs the community to invest in it. Well, the community needs the school to invest in itself. We need to look at our people. Are we really going to justify bringing in a coach from somewhere else what if the levy doesn't pass and we have to eliminate positions? Are we going to keep that coach's position, somebody new to the school system? Where's the loyalty in that? It's something we need to think long and hard about. These experienced coaches haven't panned out. With that being said, I know Derek Fisher has every intention on applying for this job, and he has my support and the support of the football team 100%. My son's been in communication with them. I've seen the text messages. The players are already rallying behind him. Why would we look anywhere else? We had an outsider come and insult us, came here for a year and bounced. Why don't we rally behind We Are Madison?
Thank you for your input. I appreciate
Thank you.
that.
I appreciate your time.
Hi, Miles Hain, 1410 North Stewart Road. I just have a couple of questions on this thing. On the levy, it says tax evaluation of $100,000. Is that on the assessed value or the appraised value? Tax assessed value. Assessed value? Okay, thank you. And a little bit comment to what he was just saying about looking outside for another coach. I guess I'm looking at things a little differently. I look at this and I think, okay, are we looking for excellence? Is the school trying to achieve excellence? Because if you're trying to achieve excellence, then it should be in everything you do. I mean, I find typos in this. Where's the excellence of this highly skilled staff? Talking about we're super proud of our students. Okay, is this intended for the adults or is it intended for the elementary because most adults don't say super proud of something. If you're going to do something like this, then show us the data. Show us how we compare to Lexington or Ontario so that we can see, are we as good as them or better than them? Then we can be super proud too. As far as the football coach is concerned, you're looking outside, I think that's a good idea. The reason I say that is because if you want excellence, you should pursue it anywhere you can get it. Internally or externally. I don't think you've eliminated any internal candidates. You're just saying you're going to look outside as well. You might not find somebody with a head coach. You might have to take somebody that's got an assistant coaching experience. But one of the things that the gentleman before me brought up is a record of 1978, I think he said. A lot of those assistant coaches were part of that 1978. So, you know, before you jump at going to an assistant, let's look at all of your options. I think you should do that, and I think that's what you are doing there. As far as, like I say, with this is concerned, one other thing I noticed in this is that Mifflin was determined to be a distinguished school, I think it was. And that's where one of the typos was, as a matter of fact, is in their write-up. But are you requiring all of the elementary schools to do the exact same thing that Mifflin is doing so that they can all be distinguished? I know that probably 30 years ago, I brought that up, is look at each elementary school and see who's doing what best and then have all of them do the same. And I was told at that time that we didn't want to stifle the teachers' creativity, that they all have their own way.
About 10 seconds.
Fine. They all have their own way of doing things. Well, that's not why they're here. They're here to educate the students, not to express themselves. So my question to you is, are we going to be requiring all of the elementary schools to do what Mifflin does? Thank you.
What was your name again, sir?
Miles Hain, Hoehn.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board? Okay. Moving on, Legislative Committee, any report?
No report.
Athletic Board of Control, we do not have anything to report this month either. Student representative comments. Allie Wigton.
Hi, as you said, my name is Allison Wigton, and I am Student Council's treasurer, filling in for our President Liv. Tonight, I was going to start talking about some of our big events we have going on with athletics. So it's coming towards the end of the season, and we're about midway, and we have lots of senior nights coming up in the next few weeks. So the first one I was going to talk about is for all sports, all winter sports. We have senior night this Friday at the boys basketball game. And speaking of that, the boys basketball has a huge game this Friday against Lexington, which will be a really tough game, and we're really excited to see that. Our boys are currently 7-7, and they're going on with a strong season. And then girls basketball last night, they won, and their senior night is also coming up on the 26th against Mansfield Senior. And swim just had a great conference meet this past weekend, and they have 4 more regular season meets, and their senior night is also coming up this coming Tuesday. And wrestling wrestled at Alliance this past weekend with 2 finishers, and they have some major matches coming up as well. And then I'd like to talk about some things going on at the school. So we have our Common Grounds restaurant in the Ramble Inn, which is opening soon, and all of the kids are super excited about that. And we just began planning the annual Student Council-led volleyball tournament, which is like a really good, positive thing that goes on. Kids love that as well. And last Friday, we had a really fun PBIS event, which was a big dodgeball tournament, and it was a huge hit. That's all we have from the high school.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Facilities report.
Good evening. Briefly, I just want to report that we had a very productive winter break. We were able to accomplish, specifically at the high school and the middle school, some pretty substantial construction projects. Most notably, the lockdown project is finished now at the high school cafeteria. If you haven't seen it, it consisted of constructing masonry walls and installing doors We integrated a system into the panic button at the high school and the fire system so that when that's hit, those doors will close and lock automatically. Beyond that, we did some masonry work at the high school kitchen and the high school gym, and then we replaced the ceilings in 4 of the restrooms here at the middle school. So other than that, everything's going well. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Board Policy Committee?
No report?
No report. And Superintendent's update.
Second semester is underway, and a lot of time, energy, and focus will be on preparation for the upcoming state tests here in the spring. We held our first senior citizen luncheon of the calendar year that first week in January when we came back from break, and I was able to share some levy information with the senior citizens, and that information was very well received. As we heard earlier, our newsletter, second one of the year, is out, and that went out over the last week or so. And I would just like to share publicly, recently, I'm not sure if you saw it in the Tribune, but there was a really nice article on our Athletic Booster Club, and we have a lot of great parent and different organizations in the district that do a lot of things for our kids, and I just wanted to take a moment tonight to publicly thank the Athletic Booster Club for all that they do for our district, for our students, the millions of dollars that they've raised through hard work and volunteer work to pour in, not just to our athletic program, but they help out anywhere that they can when the district has a need. They're there to support us. And so I just wanted to mention the officers, current officers, Christina Clever, Melissa Brown-Bago, Cassandra Hoagland, Carrie Henry, and Amy Levisky. So, and Steve, I lost his, I didn't write it. Steve Shasky, I'm sorry, he's the president. So
I have those senior moments too.
yeah, I just would like to publicly thank them for all of their work and everything they do for the district.
Yep. They are great. Okay, presentations tonight. Natasha Repp. I think we have some helpers tonight.
We do. Good evening. So last year when I presented, I talked a little bit about what we were hoping to do last year to increase the enrollment in our building. We had already 100% enrollment, but we had over 60 kiddos on our wait list. And so we really tried to problem solve and see where we had space in our building to bring those kiddos in. Our goal last year was to double our infant 1 ratio and our toddler 2 ratio, which we did that last spring. And then we also had a huge need for more preschool in our community, so we opened an additional preschool classroom as well. So now we have 5 preschool classrooms that are open full day. That, just by adding those extra kids in, we were able to accommodate an extra 25 kiddos into our program. Looking up here, this is our current enrollment that we have. Our infant program, we are full. We have 7 currently on our wait list. Toddler program, 22 kiddos in our program, 15 on our wait list. Preschool program, we have 4 on our wait list at this time. That would have been more if we did not open that additional preschool classroom. So we're really happy to get those kids in. Our school age program is thriving. Rams Club is always full. We always stack our roster in our Rams Club, and what that means is we add additional kids to the current ratio because we have kids that come part-time, or some parents just use the services as needed. So we really try to squeeze in every spot that we have to help accommodate our families in our community. At Madison South, last year we had Mifflin and Eastview together, but due to some transportation, we incorporated Mifflin at South this year. So with that, we have 16 current families on our wait list at South. The only openings we have right now are at the Eastview site. So other than that, we are doing very well and thriving. We currently have 202 total children enrolled in our programs. So using that with our families and trying to open up more spots for them and trying to fulfill the needs in our community, we also try to have a lot of family events because in our building, a sense of community is very important to us in establishing that with our families and our community. So our first event that we just had this year was our annual preschool Thanksgiving luncheon. Our kids get so excited for this event. They look forward to it. Right after Halloween, it's go time for the Thanksgiving luncheon. Our teachers work with the kids, create the decorations, they create their centerpieces. Our families come in and enjoy a nice meal with their children. Next, we have our holiday festival. We just started doing this a couple years ago, and it's a big hit. We were trying to think of a way that we can incorporate all of our program areas into a fun event, but also use it as a time to bring in resources for our families too, to build that connection with outside community partners. So the holiday festival is for our infant, toddler, preschool, and school-age programs. So all of them come. We also encourage them to bring their siblings, even if they're not in our programs, because it's just a fun time for our families. We have a dinner for them. Even the child development students, they come and help us, which we really appreciate. They volunteer their time. They actually created the Whoville scene that you see here in the bottom left-hand corner, along with Miss Becky that works in our office and with our children as well. And then we had Mr. and Mrs. Claus come. We had just carnival games. It's just a fun night for all of our families. And then, of course, we had community resources come in. Catalyst, we have the librarian and also the community advocate over at Madison Adult Ed. Our community partners are really important, and our stakeholders are very important to us because, again, since we try to build that sense of community, we also try to encourage the partnerships within that community. These are just a few of our community partners that we have. We just added a new one, Lisa McMahon's with personal training. We had her come in and do some pound classes. I don't know if you've heard of those before, but they're with drumsticks. They're fun. Our kids love it. You hear the music and the laughter coming from the gymnasium. But she also does a little twist on it with social emotional support as well. So this most recent time she came in, she used being a rock star. What makes you a rock star? What makes your friend a rock star? So that way they can start learning characteristics and words to help identify themselves, to make themselves feel good and build up their self-confidence. But then they also build up each other's self-confidence too, which is important. Before we talk about Safety Town, I'm going to turn it over for just a couple minutes to talk. Ms. Heather's going to talk about PBIS. She's our program coordinator.
All right, so another thing that we do in our building to build the kids' confidence is our PBIS. Every week, we have a drawing of the good choices and the leadership tickets that the kids get from the week before. So a team of staff stand at the front hallway. I call on the walkie-talkie, preschool, it's PBIS time. They all run to their doors, line the hallways. I announce a winner out of each classroom. They walk down, everybody cheers. They go into the office, get an office prize, and they're sent back to the room. We try to make sure every kid gets a prize. So no matter what, each kid is having a turn before then we go and do it again. So it's just a fun, cool thing also to build the kids' confidence, and they're working on green choices every day, all week long, to reward them.
And also with the PBIS, with the drawing, we try to do that just during the academic year. And then in the summer, we work on more social emotional with building each other's confidence with group rewards. So then they earn classroom parties, and they earn like cupcake parties, popcorn parties, pretty much any party you can think of, we party. So that's what we do. Next, I'm going to bring up Miss Jen Eckenweiler. Jen and I, as you know, started our Safety Town program back up here. I heard we had one 25 plus years ago. So Jen came to me when she first started here at Madison and said, hey, I have an idea. Let's start a Safety Town program. And I said, all right. So we've worked on this together. We work really well together, thankfully. But we had a great time with it. Last year was our first year with it, and we had 60 openings. We had about 45 kiddos that applied or enrolled for it, and we had about 41, 42 that came. We only had the window for them to apply to come maybe a couple weeks, only because we had to cut it short, because we had to go ahead and get t-shirts, get the bikes, get materials, get snacks. So this year we're doing a little bit different. We're going to extend our time a little bit longer. But these are some pictures from the Safety Town program last year in the summer. These are all the Safety Town community partners that really helped make it a success. We had a lot of people from our community come in and give presentations, give us activities. We had people from our district over at the high school come in and help out. Andy Wigton, the students came and helped with the building of the town. Mike Yost was awesome. He came in and did with the bus and even walked with them and showed them how to cross the street. I mean, he was phenomenal. So we had a lot of great people that really helped us and make the program a success last summer.
All right, so this year, we've set our dates to be June 5th through June 16th. It'll only run Monday through Friday, though. We're not doing the weekend. And we have 2 sessions. We have morning session, afternoon session, and like she said, we take up to about 60 kids, so we'll have about 30 both times, or up to that. Let's see, our application is, I think we have it ready now, but it'll go out and be available April 17th through May 19th. And then that gives us a couple, 2-3 weeks to get the t-shirts and all that stuff like she talked about. At the end of Safety Town, we have a graduation, so we get to recognize the kids for going through our little safety courses and whatnot. We have a sheriff deputy come and present their diploma to them, and it's like this big deal, and we try to make it as exciting and everything as possible. That'll be on Friday, the 16th of June at 10:30, so if anyone would like to come, you are more than welcome. And attached to our application, we'll have an information sheet and everything so everybody knows how to apply, where to drop it off. All those applications will be due at MECLC. We ask that people turn those in person. That way we know what's coming in, and money if they want to buy a picture and all that stuff, so we can keep track of that. And then we also have a brochure. I'm working on that. It's almost done. That will go out just as information to people ahead of time too. So, any questions?
Okay, last what we have for you is a presentation from some of our kiddos at MECLC. They're in Miss Michaela and Miss Leah's class, so come on up, guys.
That was a great job, guys. And that's it? Okay, good ending. Leave them wanting more. Next, we have no donations, so treasurer's report. A motion to accept the report?
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Don't you want me to discuss it, or?
She made the second, right?
Right.
Yeah, he said discussion.
Do you want me to talk?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, discussion. I forgot.
Okay, I mean, if you don't want me
Yeah.
to. Okay, so, December expenditures exceeded revenues, and, rather than just saying that is typical, which it is, you have to understand, we get our revenue partially from the state and partially from property taxes. And December is one of those months where we don't get any property taxes. So if the only revenue we get is from the state, then our expenditures are going to exceed our revenues. So that is why, when I say it's typical, that's what I mean. The only revenues we're getting, 95% of them came from the state in December, and that just does not cover our bills. The two things that were higher as far as revenues were basically the unrestricted and restricted state foundation, but that was anticipated because we're in that second year of the Fair School Funding Plan, which we knew we were going to get a slight bump, so that was anticipated. As far as expenditures, if you remember in the last meeting, I alluded to the fact that I expected expenditures to be down this December as over last December, and if you notice, they are down, but that's because December of 2021 was a 3-pay month. December of 2022 was a 2-pay month. So when you eliminate a pay, you're eliminating personnel wages and you're reducing the benefits. And the couple things that did increase was just due to timing. So, when we pay certain purchase services, so that was the increase there. When you go look at the forecast, we're within 1% of where we were last year on the expenditures and revenues, so we are right on track with those. So that's the financial report for December. Before I move on to the next thing, which is the tax budget, do you have any questions? So the tax budget is, I hate to call it formality, but that's technically what it is. We present a tax budget, which is what we anticipate the revenues and expenditures are going to be for next fiscal year, starting July 1. We have to send it to the county auditor, the budget commission, they approve it, and that's how they set our temporary appropriations and our temporary revenues based on the work we do in December and January, starting in July, and then that's when the board then sets the permanent appropriations like in September. So it's just it is a formality. Every county does it different, but it's how they set what our budgets, revenues, and expenditures are going to be for all our funds for next year. Any questions on either the financial report or the tax budget? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Miss Amy Walker?
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4. Melissa, did I skip you back under administrative committee
Yes, you did.
reports? Would you like to give your report?
Sure.
We're back at number 5 on item G.
So it's the student achievement portion. So at Eastview, they started the new year with a fantastic presentation from Barn Hill Animal Preserve, and staff are working hard to analyze student data from mid-year diagnostics to increase student achievement. At Mifflin, they had a school-wide assembly with the Barn Hill Preserve, where different animals were brought in for students to learn about and see in person. Around 95% of Mifflin students attended the Quarter 2 PBIS Leadership Celebration, where they participated in the annual tradition of participating in a directed paint to create a gift for families for the holiday season. Students are currently wrapping up mid-year diagnostic assessments in both reading and math, where staff will use the data to plan instruction and tailor student interventions. At Madison South, they were able to identify 8 kindergarten and first grade students who are emerging as gifted in reading or math, which is an increase from previous years. At the middle school, they have 2 academic challenge teams that competed at the first meet of the school year this month at Mid-Ohio ESC. The teams competed against 34 teams from Richland and neighboring counties. They had 255 students make honor roll at the end of the second 9 weeks. Students who made honor roll were recognized at a recognition assembly this month and were selected to play in an honor roll student versus staff dodgeball tournament. At the high school, Friday, January 13th, was the school-wide PBIS event, which Ally mentioned. Students who did not receive any discipline referrals during the second quarter were rewarded with a dodgeball tournament. So special thanks to Carrie Henry and the Madison Athletic Booster Club for their help with the event. Friday, January 13th was also a day to recognize academic achievement. Students with straight A's from the first and second quarter were admitted to the basketball game for free. In total, Madison High School had 140 students achieve straight A's in quarter one and quarter two. This is an amazing accomplishment. A special thanks to Mr. Rickert for assisting with the night. Lastly, scheduling for next school year has begun. The high school registration book is now online and available on our website. 8th grade students and parents should familiarize themselves with the new quality point system toward graduation honors prior to scheduling classes. Information is available in the registration book. And then at the Career Center, 1 out of 1 student passed the state board licensing exam for cosmetology and advanced cosmetology. 2 out of 2 students passed registered medical assistant certification. 8 recent graduates from the STNA program. 6 out of 8 students passed their Ohio STNA certification exam. And 3 of the 6 graduates who passed the certification will also receive their Ohio Adult High School Diploma. And lastly, 4 out of 4 students will receive their high school diplomas through passing the MIG welding course and passing certification.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for skipping you.
That's okay.
You know me. Next is item K, the strategic plan, culture and climate.
Good evening. I'm Andrew Ditlevson, Assistant Principal at Madison Comprehensive High School. I'll be kicking things off with some updates for our culture and climate team. Did they all get the packet?
No.
Roll it, okay. This is a kind of an overview of our strategic plan in regards to culture and climate. After the meeting, I can give you a copy of it if you'd like to look at it in more detail. The goal that we're working off of is in the Madison community, we continue to foster a culture that promotes a safe, positive, and supportive environment. The strategy is ensure that each building has implemented an effective PBIS program and system. So throughout this evening, you've heard that term PBIS used a few times in the various presentations. As a reminder, PBIS stands for Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports. I think this evening we've heard a lot about the awards and recognitions and incentives aspect that's connected to PBIS, but there's other things too that we look at, which would be teaching and modeling expectations and also reviewing data. I think we heard a community member, talking about the importance of looking at data. We too agree that that is an important thing to do. So just to highlight a couple of the action steps and things that we're doing at the school level to make sure that we're meeting these goals. One of the action steps is ensuring that expectations of behavior are being taught. So at the high school, that's looked like and sounded like most recently using our advisory period, which is kind of like I don't know what to call it. It's like a mini study hall that's very structured, highly structured. During that time, we've developed lessons on our PBIS matrix, classroom procedures, and various systems that we use throughout the school to ensure a safe and orderly school. Another thing that I just mentioned was collecting data. So earlier this year at the high school, we did a self-assessment that's called the TFI, which stands for Tiered Fidelity Inventory. And you could think of that as kind of like a pre-test, just to kind of see where you're at in terms of implementing PBIS. And then that pre-test is also connected to any of the schools that are applying for recognition. It's pretty much the same things that the state support teams would be looking at in terms of checking all the boxes to make sure that you're doing things with fidelity. Another data collecting system that we're looking at implementing this spring semester would be a culture and climate survey that's going to be going out to both our parent and student groups just to get their feedback in terms of their perception of the safety and culture and climate of our schools. Thanks.
Melissa Wigton, I'm principal at Eastview and also part of the Culture and Climate Committee. Working under the same goal, our second strategy is to increase community support at school-sponsored events. And I know, as being an administrator and a community member, I can definitely see the Madison community is fantastic, and they have really done a great job supporting our students in all kinds of athletics, music. I know our Winterfest was a big hit. I think our social media has done a great job of really getting the word out of what's going on. So we want to continue to have our students be a part of all of these things, and one of the things that we wanted to address was for some kids, limited resources might be something to hold them back to attend some of the high school athletic events. So what we've done in this strategy is we developed a community letter that we sent out to some of the businesses in Madison and asked for their sponsorship. And they did. We had three businesses that responded to that, and we were able to provide quite a few discounted tickets for our students. They were able to actually earn through PBIS the option. They had choices of prizes to pick, and this was a very popular prize, I am told, where they could attend 10 Madison athletic events for just $10. So we're going to continue that this second year of this strategy.
Thank you. Jay Grove, Career Tech Director. Just to continue to talk about our goal, our last strategy for our goal is to share positive culture and supports through a variety of social media platforms. Currently now on our school website, there is now, I think Mr. Gordon and maybe some other people are credit to that, but there is now a link directly. If you click on it, it opens a page up with each of our schools' social media links and accounts. So it's all kind of centralized. And in there you will see many different things, positive things that we're doing athletically, academically. A lot of things are geared towards our PBIS and that recognition. So that's a really good place. I think we've done a great job of establishing those social media platforms and really utilizing them to continue to spread information and to share all of those positive things that are happening. And as you know, that our goals in these things, we continue to revisit, continue to see how we can move forward with them and also get better as we look at these, maybe some changes, some minor things that we need to do to continue success as we monitor our goals and strategies. What questions do you have for us? Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I need a motion for item L, matters related to personnel.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion. This includes the addendum. Roll call.
Miss Amy Walker,
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
4.
Mr. Mosier, 4. Mrs. Cotterman,
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4. This takes us to the superintendent's business, item M. I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion.
Just to follow up on a couple of the items, item number 4, that is something new, but it does follow board policy, and it is not, there is nothing involved in that would cost the district any funds, which would be illegal to do so, and it is not anything that is required of the students. It is an opportunity, and if parents or guardians request that and sign off on it, their students will be allowed for a small portion of time during a particular day, during a week, one day a week for a short period of time to receive religious instruction and still be counted as present at school, although they will be taken off school grounds to a church to do it. And so this was brought about by new legislation, I don't know, 4 years ago or so, And so we are dipping our toe in this and providing that opportunity for our third and fourth graders next school year. And then just lastly, item number 5, which I'm sure you recognize, is the second and final resolution so that we can put the levy on the ballot for May.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mr. Mosier. 4. Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4. Okay, and we have one more opportunity for visitors to comment. Okay. Our next regular board meeting will be February 15th. If you're not aware, we have moved our board meetings to the third Wednesday of the month. And we need a motion to go into executive session to discuss item A1 and A2, which is appointment and employment.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mr. Mosier. 4. Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4. Okay, when we return from executive session, there will be no further business conducted, so feel free to go and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. Or you may stay and wait on us.